thank you everybody who is watching us right now. And my love goes to you from New York City. And I want to say hello to all of our dear super brains, and our whole Mind Valley community, our whole Mind Valley family. I love Mind Valley so much. I love speaking at A-Fest and at Mind Valley Live and at Mind Valley University. Christina is absolutely amazing. Love her and her entire team. Known Christina for over a decade, and it's a real honor to be able to share right now. And I hope wherever you are right now watching this in the world, that you are safe, that you are secure, that you are healthy. And let's begin. I'm going to share with you some strategies out of my Superbrain program, and also my new book comes out today. It's called Limitless book, and strategies on how to optimize and use the most important device and technology in the world, which is your brain. But your brain doesn't come with an instruction manual, and nobody shows us really how to use it. And I think that's why this is Mind Valley, my Mind Valley Awards, and I share it with all of our super brains, because it's so popular because the mind controls everything. And I think if there's one skill to master in today, is your ability to use your mind, because your mind affects your relationships, your mind affects your attitude, your mind affects your career, and your mind affects your income, it affects your health. And if there was a genie, and a genie could grant you one wish, just one magic wish, but just one, you would wish for infinite wishes, millions and millions of wishes. If I was your learning genie and I could help you learn one subject or any one skill, what would the equivalent be of asking for millions of wishes or infinite wishes? It would be learning how to learn. Because if you could learn how to learn, you could grant all of your own wishes and make all of your dreams come true. Because then you could apply it towards money, you could apply it towards your health, you could learn relationships better, you could learn how to contribute, you could learn to start a business, you could learn other languages. Everything gets easier in your life. And the reason why I'm excited about this is when I speak at Mind Valley events, I will do these memory demonstrations where I'll maybe have 50 people stand up, and I'll bring them on stage, or I'll remember all their names, or 100 words or 100 numbers, and I'll memorize them forwards and backwards. And I always tell people, I don't do this to impress you. I do this to express to you what's possible, because you could do that too. You could do it too. No matter your age or your background, your career, your education, your financial situation, your gender, your history, your intelligence, IQ, none of that matters. What matters is you make a choice. I have a quote in the book that says, life is C between B and D. Life is the C between B and D. B stands for birth and D stands for death. C is choice. That right now, difficult times that we are facing right now, these difficult times they could diminish you, they could define you, these difficult times can defeat you, or these difficult times can develop you. You decide. We always have choice and decision. And so I look at what we're going through right now as we are in a cocoon. A good metaphor for what's going on is we are going through a metamorphosis, a change, a transformation. And much like the Mind Valley logo is like butterfly, how do you come out of this cocoon stronger? How do you come out of this cocoon better? How do you come out of this cocoon smarter, also wiser, more capable? And so I want to share with you 5 things that you could do while you are physically distancing yourself, or even if you weren't, just for yourself each day, that could elevate your mind and your heart and your spirit. So 5 things you could do. The first one is clarity. Clarity, meaning solitude is a wonderful time for self-reflection, to self-reflect, to go inside when you're going very fast and you're driving your life very fast, you don't often have time to just say, am I going in the right direction? And so clarity can come from the power of questions. Questions give you answers. And if you ask the right questions, you'll get the right answers. So questions to get clarity about right now are things like, what's most important to me in life? What is most important to me in my job or my career? What's most important to me in school? What's most important to me in my family? What's most important to me in my impact and my contribution? And then you make a list of those things of what's most important and just check in. And then ask yourself second question. And the second question is, are the actions I'm taking each day fulfilling those values, my answers? So if what's most important to you in life is love, or it's growth, or it's contribution, or maybe it's adventure, are your actions giving you those values, fulfilling those values? So get clarity and journal and write them down and check in with yourself. The second thing I would recommend while we're cocooning, because cocooning is like when you're in a cocoon, a caterpillar goes in a cocoon, it's alone, right? And it's alone, you're alone with your thoughts, you're alone with your doubts, you're alone with maybe your fears, maybe you feel alone. So the second thing you could do besides getting clarity on your life is care. We know self-care is not selfish. That how can you take care of yourself? And not just physical hygiene. Yes, wash your hands. Yes, sanitize everything, but also your mental hygiene. One of the challenges now with what's going on is all of the stress in media and the fear, chronic stress, it actually shrinks your brain. Chronic stress shrinks your brain, makes it smaller. Chronic fear, when you're fearful all the time, it actually makes your immune system more compromised. And so you are more susceptible to and vulnerable to colds and flus and viruses. And so how can you care for yourself? Because just like social media has an algorithm, if you go through social media and you like and comment on every cat, every cat post, you engage with it. Well, your mind, the algorithm on social media will start showing you more cats because you're saying this is important to me, and so algorithm shows you more cats. Well, same thing with your mind. If you just look at the news all the time and look at what's threatening and fearful and dark, then life starts showing you in your mind, same algorithm, like cats, it shows you more darkness. The problem when your mental hygiene is you're not focusing on what you could be grateful for. You're not going to be focusing on possibility. You're not going to be focusing on your own strengths. You're not going to focus on opportunity. And so manage your mind, and care is things you could do for your care. I'll talk about in this session a little bit. Everything from the best brain foods to things you could do to prioritize your sleep. Everything, like 10 different things you could do to self-care. Third thing you could do while you're cocooning, get clarity, care for yourself so you're healthy. And also, third thing is contribution. Contribution. When the antidote to fear, the antidote to stress is service. When you focus your attention on somebody else, then you can't feel that same fear. Even when I go on stage, because some people might know my story, I even though I could do these amazing Superbrain exercises and examples, I grew up with brain injury when I was 5 years old. I had a very bad accident, head trauma, and I had learning difficulties, and I couldn't read, I couldn't write, I couldn't focus, I had very poor memory. And so even my superpower, I talk about superpowers and having a super brain. My superpower as a child was being invisible. I didn't want people to see me because I felt like when I was 9 years old, I was slowing down a class and I didn't understand the lessons in the class. And the kids were making fun of me. And the teacher said, "That's the boy with the broken brain." And that label became my limit. It put me in a box. And sometimes we feel like we are in a box. And so, how do you get out of that box? Because sometimes you might feel like you're in a box in some area. Even when I go on stage and I speak, they say in English, you have butterflies. We talk about butterflies, but butterflies is like nervousness inside of you. These butterflies inside that make you nervous. But when I get on stage, I get butterflies and nervous, but I just focus on service, and then the fear disappears. And so contribution is, how can you contribute your time? How can you contribute your talent? How can you contribute your treasure, some of your money to make a difference? And it could be, for us, we do, serve and teach, and we give out like profits from our books and our programs to charity to build schools. We've built schools everywhere from Guatemala to Kenya, all around the world. And also we use some of our contribution from what we teach to Alzheimer's research, because my grandmother, who was my superhero, died of Alzheimer's dementia. And so how can you contribute? Maybe your contribution is calling up a neighbor that might be older and more vulnerable. Maybe your contribution is helping provide food for people in this time that don't have food. All right. So how can you contribute in your own way? And then you have clarity, you have care, you have contribution, also creativity. How can you be more creative during this time to engage your mind to create? Because right now, even before what's going on in the world, a lot of jobs are going to machines and computers. A lot of jobs are going to automation. A lot of jobs are going to artificial intelligence. But what's not going to go to a machine is your creativity, is your imagination, there's no limit. When I talk about being limitless, the name of my book, it's about the infinite limitless resource we have on the earth is human potential. The sky is not the limit. Your mind is the limit, but there is no limit to your determination and your creativity. So what would you like to create? Maybe you want to write. Maybe you want to make videos. Maybe you want to make blog. Maybe you want to make music. Maybe some kind of art. How do you want to create in your life? It was during the Great Plague when William Shakespeare wrote Macbeth. When William Shakespeare wrote Antony and Cleopatra, he created amazing works of literature during difficult times. It was during a Great Plague in London University. They shut London University down, and Isaac Newton had to socially distance himself and go home. And while he was home in his yard, he was sitting underneath a tree, and an apple fell on his head, and he created the theories of gravity. He created a theory of motion. So what can you create? This could be the most creative time of your whole life. And so that's creativity. So you have clarity, you have care, you have contribution, you have also creativity. And I would also say the last thing I could recommend you do while you are cocooning as a caterpillar inside this cocoon so you come out as a good butterfly, is this thing called capability, skills. What subject or what skill have you always wanted to learn? And it's so wonderful, Christina, Mind Valley provides this, the entire Mind Valley family provides this because you can learn. And what would you have a to-do list, but do you have your to-learn list? What's on your to-learn list? What have you want to learn how to salsa. You want to learn another language. You want to learn English or Spanish. You want to learn coding, you want to learn speed reading or memory improvement, everything is available on quests and on YouTube and podcasts and books. What are you reading right now? So the idea here is this: when we come out of this, even if we weren't going through something right now, the question you want to ask is, what is the story you want to tell about this time? Not just about what's going on in the world, what was going on in your world? What was going on in your world? And so how can you level up your learning so you can level up your whole life, right? Because we're writing the story every single day with our choices. Remember, you at any time could choose how you're going to clarify your life. You could choose how you're going to care for your life and the life of your family. You could choose how you're going to contribute. You could choose how you are going to create. You could choose how you are going to improve your learning and capabilities and learn something new. And so those are choices we can make every single day. Because while the beauty is in the butterfly, the growth happens in the cocoon. And if you're struggling right now, remember that it is the struggle for that creature in the cocoon to break free that builds its strength. Through struggle, we get stronger. Through challenge, we could change. And we could go, right now, we're going through life cycles, a different cycle of life. And sometimes what limits us is us wanting to stay attached to what was as opposed to what is and what can be. And so there's a lot of beauty in this metaphor of a butterfly, that butterflies are very they can soar to new heights. And you wonder why a butterfly sitting up in the tree, I'm a little bit afraid of heights, because I had 3 accidents where I fell from one time from rooftop. And so I don't like heights too much, but if you see me on social media, I'm always skydiving and doing these activities because I like to face my fears. But I look up at a butterfly up in a tree, and you wonder why that butterfly is so calm and that butterfly is so confident. And wouldn't you want to be more calm and confident during times that are difficult? And I could tell you the reason why butterfly is so calm and confident is not because it puts its trust in that tree branch. It's calm and it's confident because it puts its trust in its own wings, in its own strengths, in its own abilities. And I want to remind you to not only get to know yourself through clarity, but also trust yourself, also love yourself, also be yourself and believe in yourself. Now, what I'd like to share with you right now are a few things that you could do to upgrade your brain. That's some of the things I teach in Superbrain. And Superbrain is much more involved, but I'll give you a couple of tips from Superbrain on how to upgrade your brain like you upgrade your phone, okay? So a couple of things you could do, and I would write this down. Number one, what's good to do to take care of your hardware, your computer, the best computer in the world, is a good brain diet. Good brain diet, because what you eat matters, to your brain. And your brain has different nutrition requirements than the rest of your body. And so there's some good foods that are out there that you could eat some, and it's good for neuroprotective. It protects your brain. So things, and I don't know what's readily available, but avocados are very good for your brain. Berries are very good for your brain. Berries, I call them brain berries, like blueberries or strawberries or raspberries. What's good for your brain? Things like broccoli, olive oil, good for your brain. If your diet allows you to eat it, eggs are good for your brain. The choline in eggs, good for your brain. Good green leafy vegetables are very good for your brain. Kale and spinach, very good. If you could get wild salmon, the omega-3s, the fish oils, your brain is mostly fat. And so fish oil, very good for your brain. So salmon, sardines, good for your brain. All these things, walnuts and almonds, very good for your brain. Also good, a special one, dark chocolate. Dark chocolate, good for your brain. And so those are good brain foods. So what you eat is, very important to eat with your brain in mind. Another thing to do while you're to have good brain is to reduce negative thoughts. Reduce negative thoughts because your brain is like a supercomputer, and your self-talk, your thoughts are the program it will run. So if you tell yourself you're not good at remembering people's names, you will not remember the name of the next person you meet because you program your supercomputer not to. And so I always say your mind is always listening to your self-talk. And when people come to me at events that I speak at, they'll say, Jim, I'm not smart enough, or I have a horrible memory. And I say, stop. If you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. If you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. So you want to keep your thoughts positive. Okay, so keep them more positive. Okay, number 3, after good diet and reducing negative thoughts, and you never get it perfect, but just do your best you can. Third thing is exercise. Exercise. As your body moves, your brain grooves, you get smarter. In science, they say when you move and exercise, you create a fertilizer for your brain. It helps you create new brain cells and new connections. And so movement is so important, especially if you're behind computers and screens all day. And they say sometimes it's not healthy. And I recommend to work when you're studying or when you're working, but work for 30 minutes. And then after 30 minutes, take 5-minute break because it helps you with your memory, because it helps you to recharge your brain. And while you're taking a 5-minute break, because after 30 minutes, your concentration, your attention, your focus goes down. So take a brain break. And what do you do during a brain break? You could do things like hydrate. You drink water. Did you drink water right now? Did you know that if you are not hydrated, if you don't have enough water, just staying hydrated will boost your thinking speed and your reaction time 30%. 30%. Your brain is 75% water. And when you sleep, you lose a lot of water. Through respiration, through perspiration. So make sure you're always hydrating throughout the entire day. So do that when you take your brain break. Also, brain break, we talked about move and just good move. What's good for your heart is going to be good for your head. When you exercise, you move, your heart beats faster, pumps blood and oxygen into your brain because your brain is only 2% of your body's weight, but it requires 20% of the nutrition and the oxygen. And so to make sure you also breathe, deep breathing. So do you go, take a deep breath. Because some people get brain fog or mental fatigue because they're not breathing deeply. They reading, they get tired when they're reading because when they're reading a book, they slump down and they bend over and their posture collapses, and then the lower 1/3 of your lungs where you get the oxygen absorbs 2/3 of the oxygen. So when you have bad posture, you don't get enough oxygen to your brain and then you get tired. So that's what you can do during your brain break. You exercise, you drink water, and then you move a little bit. Do some jumping jacks. In Superbrain, we do different exercises to stimulate your brain. Another thing you could do while you're want to improve your brain power is also a positive peer group. Positive peer group, communities like this, because who you spend time with is who you become. Who you spend time with, you become them because you have a part of your brain is always imitating people around you. So you start using the same language, the same words, you start picking up same habits, you start eating the same as the people around you, you start thinking the same as the people around you. They say be very careful because if you spend time with 9 broke people, Be careful because you can be number 10. So be careful. Positive peer group. We all need somebody to encourage us. We all need someone to challenge us. We all need somebody to teach us, to cheer us on. And if you haven't found that person yet, then my recommendation, be that person for somebody else. Be that person for somebody. And especially be that person for yourself. Be that encourager of yourself, all right? Because self-love, part of self-care is self-love. And part of self-love is falling in love with the person who's in the mirror. The person in the mirror who's been through so much, but is still standing, okay? So be good to yourself. Another thing you could do for your brain is clean environment. Clean environment. Your brain loves clean, organized environment. You know, when you clean your room or you clean your desk or you clean your computer and everything is right where it goes in file folders, then you have clarity of thought, right? So clean your environment. And I would say start every morning with making your bed. Make your bed every morning, and it's good for your brain because your brain loves clean environment, and how you do anything is how you do everything. How you do anything is how you do everything. So you wake up, you make your bed very neat and organized, and then you start your day with excellence. And then you do other things with excellence, right? Be very mindful of your habits because first you create your habits. You make your bed, you drink water, you exercise, you meditate, and then those habits make you. Okay, so I believe the treasure you seek is hidden in your daily routines. And so clean environment. Another thing you could focus on is your sleep. You need to sleep because sleep is so important for your brain. When you sleep, you take short-term memories and you make them long-term. Okay, when you sleep, you take short-term memories and they become long-term memories. If you have long-term memory problems, check your sleep. It's also when you sleep, you clean out plaque in your brain that could lead to Alzheimer's and dementia. And so you need to sleep. Also, when you sleep, you dream. And dreaming is so important for your mental health and your creativity. And in Superbrain, I teach you how to remember your dreams because a lot of inventions, Mary Shelley came up with Frankenstein in her dream. All these songs came up with in the musicians in their dreams. So we teach you in Superbrain how to remember your dreams, 6 tips on how to do that. So that's sleep. Also, to protect your brain, wear a helmet. Also, good for your brain, learning. Learning is the best. You want to be able to learn all the time because it'll help you live longer. When they had these nuns and they lived very long, 80, 90 and older, and they wanted to find out what is the secret to their longevity. Half of it was their emotional faith and their gratitude. The other half, lifelong learners, exactly what you're doing now. Learn every day. And then finally, last thing you could do for your brain, manage your stress. Manage your stress. I mentioned that when you are always stressed, your brain goes into fight or flight freeze. It just shrinks your brain. So what are you doing each day to be able to reduce your stress? Are you meditating? Are you doing some yoga? Are you doing some mind exercises to get perspective and gratitude? A great exercise, gratitude, is so important. If you want a greater, don't wait for a greater life to be grateful. Be grateful and you will have a great life. Gratitude rewires your brain, and what you appreciate appreciates even more. So I'm very grateful to be here with you. I'm grateful to be your Superbrain coach with Mind Valley, and very, very honored.